Hello, hello, welcome. Welcome to Own Again. It is Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and I'm excited that you are here. Come on in, come on in. Please do give StreamYard permission. I'm going to pull that up in a second. Put it here for you guys. Please do give StreamYard permission to access your Facebook so that I could say hi to you. So the only way that I'll know is if there is your name. Okay, so if you could please put it in the chat. Please do give StreamYard permission to access your Facebook account so I can say hi. And if you don't, just put your name after it. Okay, so I can know who I'm talking to. So I am Gersha Porter. I am the CEO of Porter Premier Homes of Cummings and Company Realtors. I am here in the Baltimore metropolitan area. This is my 18th year of selling real estate. I am super, super excited. And I want to let you guys know up front, I have a coaching program. It's called Own Again. And Black homeowners, men and women, they coach with me when they are ready to silence the shame of no longer being a homeowner. I give you the confidence to go from stuck to unstoppable. So your mindset is healthy and you no longer are holding yourself hostage. So if you've experienced a short sale, if you've experienced a foreclosure, if you've experienced bankruptcy, if you've experienced divorce, and it took you out of your greatness of being a homeowner, message me so we can talk about how I can help bring you back to your greatness of being a homeowner again. So once again, welcome, welcome. I need to do my little disclaimer. I don't own the rights to this music. Just thought I'd bring us in on some light jazz this afternoon. So today we are going to be talking about this home buying journey and why realtors really don't want buyers and sellers to meet. Okay, so you think that might be a little odd, but it really is not in the real estate transaction. And oftentimes buyers and sellers meet for the first time at the settlement table. So we really, especially with respect to fair housing, we want buyers and sellers to make decisions without respect to people, right? Sellers need to make a decision about the house that they're going to sell to the buyer based on the facts. Are they financially able to consummate the deal? Can they sell it within the time frame that the seller is willing to sell their home? Are they going to agree to the conditions that the seller has in place when they put their home on the market? Buyers, they want to know, is this the house that has what I need, the floor plan, the bedrooms, the bathrooms, the locations, the price range? It is strictly about the facts, Jack. And when we have buyers and sellers meet, we have some stuff like emotions come into place, right? So we want to make sure that we can successfully move to settlement, those of us who are in the real estate realm. We want to make sure that happens. And part of the reasons we don't want buyers and sellers to meet is because of that. So just to back up for a minute, you guys know we are in a seller's market. And what does that mean? We don't have enough houses to sell. So hey, Facebook user, thanks so much for joining me today. We don't have enough houses to sell. So guess what? Gersha is walking around with a shirt. It says, want to sell a house, right? Seriously, I am looking for inventory. I am working for my buyers. How? By finding homes to sell. We just don't have enough houses to sell here in the Baltimore metropolitan area and really over most of the United States. So inventory is very, very low. We have a lot of very well qualified buyers that are on the market. They just can't find a house to buy. So as a realtor, we want to find those homes for them as well. So, hey, Kay. Hey, Dove. Yes, I am a Western High School alum. I was telling somebody that this past weekend, the oldest all-girl public high school in the United States. So, hey, I do have a lot of friends that I went to high school with that I am still connected to. So, hey, Dove. That was our mascot, a dove. So, why do realtors not want buyers and sellers to meet? Let's talk a little bit about that. I'm just going to give you 3 points, right? So, a careless remark by one party might be misinterpreted by the other, leading to tension and sometimes to the collapse of the negotiation. So, as you know, there are a couple of steps, a couple of major steps when a house gets under contract. But even before it gets under contract, the seller could be home, let's say, when the buyer is touring their home. That does happen a lot today because of COVID. Because of COVID, there are sellers at home sometimes when a buyer is touring the property. And the seller may make a comment, right? A buyer may make a comment, and it could not go well, right? So we can't always separate buyers and sellers, especially because of the COVID that's going on still right now. And we have a lot of folks that are working from home. So they're happy to sell their home, they're happy to show their home, but they're going to be home. And what that means is the buyer might meet the seller. And some of us as realtors, we will see them, we move around them. Sometimes we don't just put our head in one particular room, but that is some of what happens. And so there could be misinterpretations. So the buyer may say to the seller, oh my gosh, this is such a great home. Why did you pick that color granite when you built this house? Now, that may not go over well with the seller. It might have been just a very casual comment that the buyer said. It wasn't the buyer's favorite granite. But those kinds of things can lead to a possible situation where it is a little bit of tension. That seller might remember that buyer when multiple contracts are presented in front of them. Let's say the contract is accepted and we go through the home inspection. I had a seller of mine just about 4 weeks ago. The buyer wanted to do the home inspection the next day. The seller said, no problem, as long as they don't mind that we're here. And so the home inspection occurred, and about 3 of the family members were home when the inspection occurred. So you can imagine, we've talked about home inspections before. A home inspection is like a physical. A seller is like, whoa, you are really examining my house in a very, very deep level. And so as buyer has their professional who's a home inspector walking around looking at the house, and the seller could hear the comments. They may hear the comments that the inspector is making. They may hear the questions that the buyer is asking. And that's when you could get a little bit of tension, misinterpretation based on what the inspector says, based on what the buyer understands and regurgitates. All that stuff can happen. So that's one of the reasons that we prefer that when there's a home inspection, that the seller isn't present, because the buyer has their expert with them. They're going to go through the process, and then the realtor will circle back with the seller's realtor and they'll talk about the home inspection. Okay? The next reason why realtors may not want buyers and sellers to meet each other is sellers often have some exaggerated pride in their home. In any circumstance, hey guys, sorry about that. Sellers may have an exaggerated pride in their home in any circumstance of the property that the buyer may take as a personal insult, right? So if the buyer says, well, I would not have had so many shrubs in front of my window, something as innocent as that, and little do they know that the seller grew those shrubs, some little itty bitty baby shrubs, and they're so proud of how they look today. They're just proud about their landscaping. They're proud about the custom window treatments that they have throughout their home. It just may not be the taste of the buyer. So when the buyer says something, the seller may take it as a criticism, right? The buyers have their own preference, and this is why I like to tell sellers, please neutralize your home. You want it as neutral as possible. And many things that you can control, you want to change those to be as neutral as possible. There's some things you just can't change. You can't change the color of your siding. You can't change the brick. Sometimes you can change the paint. Sometimes you can't. And so we'll have buyers make comment about paint. You go downstairs, you got this huge Ravens fan. Those of us that are here in the Baltimore area, huge Ravens fan. They have an amazing family room with all the Raven gear and the purple paint. And then you get a buyer who is not a Raven fan. They may not even be a sports fan. And so they comment. They may say something like, wow, I would have loved to make this my, she den, or I would have loved to make this my home office. What am I going to do with all this Raven stuff here? The seller hears that, their pride is hurt. So this is another reason why we want to try to keep buyers and sellers apart, because Homes are very personal. They're decorated personally. Sellers take pride, yes, in the home that they've lived in for sometimes 5, 10, 15 years. Okay, so that's reason number two. Those of you who have just joined it, my name is Gersha Porter. This is my weekly show called Own Again. Why is it called Own Again? Because yes, as a real estate professional, I coach Black men and women when they are ready to silence the shame of no longer being a homeowner. Why? Because they experience foreclosure, short sale, bankruptcy, or divorce. I give them the confidence to go from stuck to unstoppable so that their mindset is healthy and they no longer are being held hostage to that experience. Okay? If you are not familiar with my coaching program, I'm going to make sure I leave a link in the comments today. Feel free to set up a quick chat so we can talk more about how we can get you back to home ownership. So reason number three why realtors try to keep buyers and sellers apart is the buyer may be scared off by an innocent comment made by the sellers about the neighbors. Now, most of us have neighbors. Even if you live on an acre or 2 acres or 3 acres, you still probably have a neighbor, right? And so innocently, sellers will tell you sometimes good things or not so good things about the neighbor. And so innocently, they're just sharing with you about the neighbors. And they have no idea what your preferences are, the type of people you get along with, how tolerant you are, how intolerant you are, your affiliations. None of that stuff. They don't know anything about it. They think they're being helpful. They think that it's just an innocent comment. But the moment they say something that doesn't land well with the buyer, we may not have a meeting of the minds and we may not have a sale. So this is one of the reasons why realtors would prefer to keep buyers and sellers apart. Now, when I'm showing homes and the seller isn't home, and the buyer begins to ask me questions about the neighborhood. As realtors, we don't have those facts. We do not, unless, and I always tell buyers all the time, unless you're in my neighborhood, I really can't speak to it, right? We get asked questions about crime, which we can't answer. We have to refer you to the police department and look for crime statistics there. But you know who is a valuable asset when you're looking for a home? It could well be the neighbor. So instead of the seller telling you about the neighbor, you may have an opportunity to speak with the neighbor. The weather is getting warm. More people are outside. They're hanging out. They know the home is for sale. They see people coming and going. So if you have an opportunity, if the neighbor waves at you, if you want to know more about the house, if you want to know more about the neighborhood, if you want to know more about the neighbor, this is an opportunity for you to talk to the neighbor. Okay. So one of the reasons that realtors like to keep buyers and sellers apart is because the buyer may be scared off by an innocent comment made by the seller. It's one thing for the buyer to make their own determination or for the buyer to get their own information and make their own conclusion about the neighbors, but it's a completely different thing for them to get that information from the seller. Okay, so that's kind of why we would prefer to keep buyers and sellers apart. All right. If you have any questions about this, any comments, any of your personal experiences, drop it in the comments wherever you're seeing this video. I'd love to get your feedback about your experience. You may have accompanied a friend or a family member on a home tour, and you may have experienced some of these things. Before we go, I need to let you guys know, I hope you've been seeing my videos. I just posted one on today is Why I Walk Wednesday. So you guys know I'm walking, yes, in the March of Dimes this for Saturday. I'm actually hosting a private walk, so if you'd like to join me for a quick 1 mile walk, I'd love to have you come out just so we can punctuate and celebrate the occasion. The March of Dimes has been doing its thing. I've been supporting it for over 40 years. This year, I'm actually an ambassador, and so I'm super, super excited about, once again, helping to raise funds for such a worthy cause. So if you want to know why I walk, check me out on Instagram or Facebook and you will hear some of my story. I would love to thank our sponsors. Yes, they are sponsoring my walk. Come on out. You're going to see what we have. Violet Flames, which is an amazing new company that has hand-poured organic soy wax candles located here in Baltimore, Maryland. Another one of our sponsors is Stephanie Dennis and Associates, one of my besties. She does educational consulting and coaching and reignite a ministry coaching business. And yep, that is another new business. I'm just supporting all these new businesses. Check out their websites, check out their IG, wherever you may see this posted. Learn more about them and the business and services that they bring to you. And I'm so excited to be able to partner with them for the March of Dimes Walk. So don't forget, if you lost your home to foreclosure, short sale, bankruptcy, or divorce, I'm your girl. I can help coach you back to your greatness of being a homeowner. So join our Facebook group. Go to GershaPorter.com. You can search for your dream home there, and you can also join our Facebook page, GershaPorter.com. And if you just want to talk more about whether or not it would be a good fit for us to work together, click on the link. It'll also be in the comments where you're seeing this, and book a conversation with me so we can talk about our Own Again coaching program. So once again, I'll be here every Wednesday at 5 o'clock for our Own Again live, where I bring you great information about home ownership. Also, if you'd like to be notified about when we're going live, please like and follow our Facebook business page. I clearly was talking too much. So once again, Reignite Coach is in the house. Hey, Joe. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I'll see you next week. If you want to join me, those of you who have my number, text me 443-744-0206. Send me a message on Facebook. I'll let you know when we're going to meet. Take care. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.